4 deer now in the orchard, 2 does, a fawn, and a forked horn. Come look. I stack the last plate in the rack. Beyond the window, dusk blurs the path to the creek, the rose and blackberry tangled tall old stump beside the bridge. Water swirls down the drain, leaving an iridescent film of grease, tumble of food scraps in soapy froth, lettuce, a naked strand of spaghetti, breadcrumbs, a rag of meat. I linger, looking out, wiping the sink, remembering already the darkening day, creeks gleam in soft gray light, the easy rhythm of this familiar task. The brush pile you were clearing this afternoon in the rain, what you came in, dripping, to tell me beside the fire, stripping the soaked glove from your hand, searching out the thorn. Another piece of Smith River. This is called Witness. There may be rain. There may be a woman walking at night uphill through wet grass, and wet brown ferns may brush her ankles, the legs of her faded jeans. She may not care that her feet are soaked. She may be at home in the chill in her tattered coat. She may stop mid-pasture, flick off her light and look up. She may stand still in the dark to watch the black shapes of the trees appear against the sky, to hear the sound of rain all around her, its embracing whisper, to see the faint gray shine of clouds bloom over the hill. She may go on then up the hill by cloud light. She may feel through her shoes' thin soles the earth curve under her feet, how it rises, lifting her as she walks. She may hear the faint brush of each invisible step. When she turns back, starts down again towards the small, far glow of the house, she may look up once more and see, astonished, a black rift in the sky's gray skin, and in it, 3 stars, clear above the hill's rim in the north. Any night of rain, she may walk the hill path, be there to see moments of cloud, moments when stars appear. Okay. Again. This is late fall into winter. I'm working my way towards the solstice. This is called Counterpoint. It's the next day, it's tomorrow, but always now. To know the real, an argument. Young maple bare, all its leaves fallen, bronze tufts of seed, a flare of papery wings, ready to fly. Things have edges, are solid, are gone. They spin away, falling into the dark, lost, and then pieces bob up. Bright scraps, vivid as burns, the hiss of ice against bare skin. These pebbles now at the edge of the road. I hunker down in my tall rubber boots, plant their red soles in a puddle, bend to turn over each stone, learning their faces, their names. And when I walk away on, there they still are, rough-edged and shining in the rain. If I could spend my life, all my now, the whole wandering length of it, just looking, I'd never see it all. Things where their evanescence, like a sheen, it's the way light strikes them, comes back glowing. Maple keys spin down into November. There is no music without time. So it rains, and I get tired, and December keeps showing me how everything darkens and fades away. Everything, even the world. It's hard to sit and stare into the rain and not wish the leaves back and the long luxury of summer. I don't want to be cheerful and blot it out, this cold now, wind and sleet and the nights lengthening. The promise, there will be one that will not end. So what? There's a tree alone in the pasture, luminous against the soaked black bulk of the forest, bare limbs covered with pale gray lichen, sea light, foam on dark water, and a drift and swoop of tiny birds, black sparks flickering against the clouds. All the ends of the world. And a light from somewhere looking down on ruins. The light of dead stars. Is the star dead while its light still travels? In the night, wind howled and woke me, and I heard a tree go down, the tallest hemlock on the hill behind the barn. What if I had been asleep? Things happen in the dark. How can we know except by waking? It doesn't matter to the tree. Heavy with cones, its branches lie soaking slowly into the forest floor, that dark, rough ground. And the next one, I'm going to set that aside for a moment, is a poem for the winter solstice, which I wrote originally in 1984. This year I dug it out and looked at it again and thought, maybe that's not so far off the mark as I thought. So, winter solstice poem, 1984, 2016. Can't write one this year. It's too dark, I said, and went out to the trees, their black stance against gray and the slow, cold air breathing. Bare trees, but not like yesterday's. Thin, desperate, dripping rain, wind shivered. Same trees, same season, same December weather. But this time, I find them resting, eased, their summer's work laid down, their tall arms open to air, water, sky. It's sleeping weather, clouds cushion their dreams. Awake through all the long warmth, now they drowse in cold, lulled by low light. Leaf dreams folded tight against each twig. The trees dream saprise, bud swell, light flooding slowly back, the cold earth quickening. Patiently, day by day, they dream the sun back, and it comes. Here follows a collection of poems which I wrote as letters to Bill, it turns out. I think I've told this story before. I was in a workshop with him, and I asked him very shyly, Mr. Stafford, could I write to you? And he looked away, and he said, well, some do, some don't. We'll see. I have been writing to Bill ever since. I have never mailed a letter. But some of them, as he foretold me, have turned into poems. And this is one of them. The Moon, for William Stafford. Warm light, black windows, music and family laughter, games. I'm listening from my corner, letting it all roll past. Lance is almost as tall as himself now, still growing into his skin. 18, reaching in so many new directions. He asks me for a poet, one who's not negative. It's important. I give him you. He asks, is he hard? He watches me think about that, then adds, I mean to understand. I say, sometimes, but he tries to keep things open, find ways to go on. Bill, it's the best I can do. I can't say you're easy. Nothing's easy, and everything is. It depends on how you let it roll. This isn't something you can tell. It has to grow. Lance's uncle stands by the fire, as tall as Lance, dark with years. The night rolls past him, too. Out of a silence that might be pain, he says, there's a full moon rising. Go look. It's cold outside. A quick look. And he laughs. I tangle my sleeves into my jacket, step out into the dark. Cold air rushes to touch my cheek. The wind chime says one note, silver and solitary as the moon, that worn, bright face behind the oak trees. Back in. Lance asks, is it cold? I say, brisk, it's worth it. Go look. When he comes in again, a little silver shimmer haunts his cheekbones. We talk about Galway Canal, Elizabeth Bishop, Joseph Bruchac. He opens your book. I look out the window and hope. The moon swings clear of the oaks, deepens the shadows in the yard. Lance says, I think I like this. Sometimes there is something you can tell. There's a full moon rising. Go look. And this is indeed a letter to Bill. It turns out to be for all kinds of other people too, including you. It's called What I'd Like. You'd step onto my cluttered front porch, past pots of marigolds and basil, coil of rope, toolbox, fly rod, cat asleep in the box of parts for the 63 40-horse engine, stacks of books beside the wicker chair, more pots of blue lobelia, parsley, thyme, a trowel, and the bag of onion scents I haven't finished planting. You'd knock at the screen door and call, is the coffee ready? And we'd carry our cups from the kitchen down the path to the creek behind the house and sit at the weathered table on the deck. You can see the orchard where deer come for apples in the fall, and beyond it, the garden where, if there's time and it doesn't rain too much, I'll pitch the teepee again. And we'd listen to water talking its way over the beaver's dam, watch hummingbirds joust in the willow tree, and we'd talk about whatever came by, like ordinary friends. And a quick note from the bluff. This was at a workshop at Centrum on the Sound, and there was a bluff where we all went to sit and hang out and watch the Sound. And while I was doing that one morning, I thought of this note to write to Bill. Bill, it worried me You'd keep saying emergency, and I'd think alarm bells, sirens, help. But this morning, early, gulls fringe the tide line, yelling, look, 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 the way they do. And the sun comes up red on the water, quiet. A breeze is dusting along through the grass, and the sound keeps on reflecting the sky. A dog trots by. A goldfinch tilts on a thistle. From the beach, somebody waves and then runs on. It's morning. Everything arriving. Look out. Now, this is a poem of Bill's. I was reminded of it by a poem that Eric read last night at the open reading, in which he directly addresses the moon. And this is Bill's address to the moon, and it triggered a poem of mine, so I'm going to read Bill's first and then read my response. This is called Glimpse Between Buildings. Now that the moon is out of a job, it has an easy climb in these nights, finds an empty farm where a family could live, slides wide over the forest, all those million still violins before they are carved, and follows those paths only air ever uses. I feel my breath follow those aisles and stumble on the moon deep in a forest pool. Moon, you old unsinkable submarine, leaf admirer, be partly mine. Guide me tonight along city streets. Help me do right. This is my response, called Glimpse Between Mountains. And there is another quote, a quote from another poem by Bill. Tell me again. A million wrong voices proclaim one light lives forever. Do I believe that? This morning, I believe coyotes singing away off up Plank Creek and stellar jays holding a raucous convention in the orchard. In between, in little bursts of silence, chickadees, a wren tit, one final remark from the little owl in the cedar grove. It's so quiet here without you. Almost fall. Time to pick pears, and the blackberries scrambling all over the backyard woodpile. Corn season, zucchini mania, tomatoes beginning to turn. How can you not be here, going on with your life? Full moon last night. I stood in dewy grass, humbly, without my clothes, and its light poured down, washed over me, filling my eyes, my empty hands, and I danced a little, there in the grass, with my thickened shadow. Awkwardly, we bowed to the moon together. Bill, you old unsinkable submarine, be partly mine. You know how hard it is for me to get inside things. My body, the moonlit world. Teach me how to submerge. Help me to write. Okay. We have 5 minutes to sing. Yet another note to Bill Stafford. You haven't written enough yet, and I haven't. None of us has. I want to hear more from somewhere, everywhere. Here, where I sit in my piled green tangle, the air is full of voices. Yours, mine, the birds who live here. What is it that's waiting to arrive? Is it only itself the river talks to in its mossy canyon? I hear it, and that seems somehow to matter. But what if I'm not here? Silence? I keep listening. I've never heard it yet. Its potential, the space between sounds. Is it possible even to imagine a final sound after which nothing? It's too soon to know. We haven't listened enough yet. There is always more waiting to be heard. And I am going to let Bill have the last word, if I've got time. A ritual to read to each other. If you don't know the kind of person I am, and I don't know the kind of person you are, a pattern that others made may prevail in the world, and following the wrong God home, we may miss our star. For there is many a small betrayal in the mind, a shrug that lets the fragile sequence break, sending with shouts the horrible errors of childhood storming out to play through the broken dike. And as elephants parade, holding each elephant's tail, but if one wanders, the circus won't find the park. I call it cruel, and maybe the root of all cruelty, to know what occurs, but not recognize the fact. And so I appeal to a voice, to something shadowy, a remote, important region in all who talk. Though we could fool each other, we should consider, lest the parade of our mutual life get lost in the dark. For it is important that awake people be awake, or a breaking line may discourage them back to sleep. The signals we give, yes or no or maybe, should be clear. The darkness around us is deep.